welcome to vlog number 2 of our creation of our Dungeon 23 dungeon using our game, the WYRD Dungeon. That's a lot of dungeons. So far, it's been a lot of fun. Last video was a pretty long video because we covered both rooms 1 and 2 and how we're using the WYRD Dungeon to make it. So this video hopefully going to be a lot shorter. Going to try to keep it under 10 minutes as we're just going to be talking about room 3. Keeping with this whole kind of graveyard theme, first room of the Silent Gatehouse, which is this level, was just kind of the main graveyard area leading up to the dungeon proper. And then room 2 was one of the mausoleums, the crypts there, that you could go inside, and we had a secret room in there. So I want to kind of keep going along with this idea, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a chapel here in this area that you could explore? I rolled on the table to see how big the room was going to be, and we got a 20 by 40 room. So pretty large chapel. And you can see while I did that 20 by 40, I also added this little kind of entrance area and then some little niches, whatever you want to call them, off of there. Drew some columns, and we have some altars. So what is this chapel? Well, bouncing off of our last room, the first room, sorry, where we did some trappings and rolled that there's like these really nice ornate tables and chairs. And I was like, oh, it's an outdoor area, but I was like, let's keep them. And they're like vine covered. Well, why are they there? And I was like, oh, it was like a picnic, let's say, that just was abandoned. But then it kind of is ballooned. I was like, well, what if instead of a picnic, it was a festival? And I wrote here that it was the festival of the Unbowed King that was being celebrated, and then something happened. So this chapel is also a chapel to the Unbowed King. That the players can go in and kind of look around and see what's there. As far as what was inside of it, for the trappings, I decided, let's roll in here, and this says there's empty armor stands here in the chapel. Okay, well, what's that? Why are they there? So they're all these 4, I decided there's 4 in each corner of the chapel, these empty armor stands, and that's because the armor has been animated. And I don't know if they're going to attack the party yet or if there's a puzzle surrounding them, because at that point I started writing these questions to myself. Who is the Unbound King? Is this their dungeon lair, or is it something they built on top of it? Maybe the Unbowed King just has like the first couple of floors before it gets deeper into something that they built on top of. And then what is this festival really all about? And this is what I've been enjoying about this whole process, about using the WYRD Dungeon in conjunction with Dungeon 23, is I'm finding cool questions. I'm just allowing the roles speak to me, if you will, and give me questions to answer and really build kind of interesting little areas. As you notice, I'm not like going really deep diving into anything at this point. I'm just getting a skeleton, if you will, framework of this dungeon. I just want kind of bullet points that I'm going to go through, and then we can take all this later and then build a full big long narrative and a through line between everything. Because to me, the creative process is about doing it. That's what this is all about. I'm not sitting around just kind of waiting for inspiration to strike me. I'm just sitting down each day. I mean, this little thing only took me about 10 to 15 minutes to make this room, but I got a lot of really cool questions out of it to start answering, and it's starting to build momentum, if you will. And you're going to start seeing these things stack on top of each other as we get further into the dungeon. We can start pulling back from these earlier questions and say, oh, well, that answers this part here. We can tie these things together. So don't be afraid to leave gaps and leave room to fit things in later. It's great to have questions. Don't be afraid of questions. They're very important because they're either going to be questions for you or questions that your players can fill in, or if it's a GM full game, you're all going to answer that together and just have this really cool collaborative story and collaborative building of this dungeon. Jeff cutting in here because this is super important to what I'm talking about right now. After I filmed all this and I've been doing other things and kind of thinking about all these questions, the inspiration struck because I built off of all this stuff and done the work so far. This idea struck me that this silent gatehouse will actually be a soldier's graveyard for all the soldiers that served in the army of the Unbowed King. So these are the unbowed soldiers who are all buried here, and this is a festival celebrating them, but then something happened that caused everybody to have to flee. And now we'll have, like, it'll all be skeletons wearing the unbowed soldier armor. They'll, of course, all those outside will be rusted from all the rain and the elements, but the 4 inside the chapel will be 4 suits of armor of these soldiers that have now been animated. I think having put in the work made this come to fruition and made this idea really bloom. So super awesome. All right, back to the rest of the video. So that's room 3. There you go. We have the Chapel of the Unbowed King, and that's going to be something that we're going to hold on to for a while. And who is the Unbowed King, and what's that all going to mean for this level of the Silent Gatehouse and on. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.